It's still off, or is it not working?
It is not working.
That's not working.
I don't know how to get that to work without it working with everything else. I plugged it in, but it doesn't do anything. I'll raise my hand when somebody raises their hand on here, so you know.
Gonna wait until they come back.
I unplugged the.
Second.
Aye.
Set.
Having pizza. Angus says.
He actually said I can. Here.
He was 10.
Had a little rough time. We also have like one in the road.
Testing. Testing.
Tracy's
I don't know why I have two.
shove it away.
I just, it lets me turn and not worry about it quite as much.
Should we?
Want to make it.
And not at all.
Hello? Sounds better. You had a question, Ed, earlier?
I was just going to ask if you were going to do the motions coming out of non-public.
Yeah.
We did.
Did? Okay.
No,
thank
we
you.
closed public, we have to do the mo.
Yeah. You were
Oh,
waiting to do our
okay.
other.
All right, yes, yes.
I move that we accept the tax abatement as discussed.
No.
No,
Hang on.
that's not
Start
out.
at the top. Pursuant to discussion in non-public session, I'm going to make a series of 2 motions in public. The first is I make a motion to recommend to the Budget Committee that we place an additional $140,000 into the budget to cover the hiring process and a portion of the salary and benefits, total compensation.
Yeah,
And
and
hiring.
possible internal control audit.
And possible internal control on it, so, sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The second motion, I make a motion to authorize the town manager or their designee to enter into a contract with MRI for the recruitment costs for the finance position up to a total of $8,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, and sorry, yes, you can go now, Tracy.
Oh. I move that we, I assume we don't want to name the individual. I don't have to, right? I move that we abate the taxes as we discussed in the non-public session for $494.06.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now ready for the rest of the work of the evening. First item would be the approval of the minutes, of the minutes of December 1st, 2025 as amended, and then the minutes of December 15th, 2025, regular and non-public sessions. Any comments, corrections, concerns?
We need to do them individually, do we?
I have a question on the December 1st. Did we not approve the December 1st as amended previously, or are we just looking at them again?
I would look at them and then reapprove them. There were some major changes.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes, December 1st, 25, as amended.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move that we accept the meeting minutes of December 15th, regular session.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Yeah, we better have some discussion. No? The minutes have been just glorious. Thank you. Okay, we have a
Did we vote?
motion.
We need
We
to
have a
vote.
We
second.
need to vote on that.
We need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next,
Yeah, did you guys do the non-public session? Did you put that together or just regular session?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 15th non-public session.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, we have board reports.
I'll go first.
Go.
So I've no updates from the Enfield Village Association for the last month, and I also was not able to attend the Heritage Commission meeting this past month.
Thank you.
The planning board had the public hearing for proposed zoning changes in December and got a lot of good feedback. Went back, made some revisions to that changes, and we'll have a second public hearing at the end of this month. Is it the 28th?
January,
The 21st, January 21st will be the second public hearing for the proposed zoning changes this year.
Thank you. The last Budget Committee made a lot of progress. I found some concerns. Had a meeting with the Select Board non-public meeting, made some plans for the future. And we've decided to, don't think this is a big secret, beef up staffing somewhat.
Energy Committee met in anticipation of the new rates that we didn't know of at the time of the meeting, but we do know what they are now. You want to make any mention of that in your report?
I don't have that in my report.
I won't try to get into the rate system now. It's a
No, I think the
rather
big thing with
convoluted
that-
discussion.
I think the big thing with that was Liberty's rate. If we would have put in that additional, like we did last time, our rates would have been higher, so we again opted that to be an opt-in rate.
That's a good summary. That's a good way to put it. For the time being, the next 6 months, it's postponed.
Katie?
Oh, uh, Conservation Commission is not meeting in January due to Thursday having been New Year's and not moving it. So the next meeting will be in February on the first Thursday, 7 PM at DPW.
Thank you. Next, we have the town manager's report. And before he gives us a report, I just want to make all right, a comment. It is the chair's obligation to give a select board report in writing, and I hadn't done it. And I got an email from Ed, and Ed and AI produced the most wonderful report I've read. And, you know, I'm not an artificial intelligence fan at all, an English teacher especially. But it was well-written, it was detailed, it was accurate. I went through it struggling to find a grammatical error or something. Didn't happen. I had a nice discussion with Ed this morning about the process he went through. And we have a person who is really knowledgeable about this, and you know, I hope Ed is able to teach some other people how to make good use of artificial intelligence. Thank you very much for doing that.
So just to follow that up a little bit,
I have.
I didn't.
I won't go into too much detail, but like John said, as you start to learn AI, it's really in how you prompt it. So what I had done, just a quick synopsis, was I prompted it to go to enfieldnh.gov to review all the select board minutes and to pull the high-level policy issues that the select board dealt with. And then I gave it a little direction on a few of the ones that I wanted to make sure to cover. And that's kind of what it pulled out. I sent that to John along with a bulleted list that I gave to the select board as well of high-level policy topics that it pulled out. The chair usually asks staff to put together a bulleted list like that to help them remember what to do. I did it through AI to see if it would work, and I sent it to John, and was pretty happy with the report. I gave that to the select board tonight. Give John feedback on what you think about that. I don't know that we need to discuss it tonight. Then he can send either that or a final revision of that to Lisa for the annual report.
Thank you.
I use AI in a similar way relatively frequently for things that are a factual compilation. So I am in agreement. This looks pretty good. And interestingly, I had started to pull a bulleted list, and I gave AI similar instructions and told it to give me just the bullets. So, hey, why do it the hard way when you can make it do the intern job?
Thank you.
I think, McConnell, I think, needs an L, extra L. Which means it's probably wrong in our minutes somewhere, but that's okay.
So, okay, I will start with my manager's report. On a staff report, at the last meeting, I discussed that Emily Curtis, our PSAC coordinator, had given her resignation. Just to update you on the process, we received 50 applications for the Public Safety Administrator Coordinator position. The chief and deputy chief whittled those down to 16 that they thought were highly qualified for the position. They sent them written questions to fill out and send back. From those ones that they got back on that, they whittled that down to 6 applicants that they sent a project for creating a PowerPoint, kind of a research project. He did this last time, so they have to go research our public safety departments and police departments and present a PowerPoint presentation to the chiefs. Those were due today, and the chiefs are hoping tomorrow or sometime really soon that they'll narrow that list down to 2 to 4 applicants to bring in for interviews. We do have some high-quality applicants, so we're hopeful that we'll be able to bring someone on relatively soon, hopefully before Emily is.
Where was that job advertised that it got 50 applicants?
I know we put it out here, but I think we put some of those things on Indeed and stuff too. But I think mostly word of mouth through the emergency services online, different places. We have been getting more and more applications for positions. The employment world's changing a little bit. Something we'll do, and I think that's a highly coveted position here in Enfield, Public Safety Department. With that, we've also received an announcement from Officer Michael Crate that he will be retiring from the police department at the end of February. He does want to remain on as a part-time officer. Per state law, he'll have to take like 29 days off before he can work part-time for us again. But we do plan on bringing him back to work part-time. Mike has 17 total years with the police department, 10 of them as a full-time officer. So he will be missed, but that'll be a position that we'll be looking to fill. I did talk with the chief, and he thinks he may have some qualified applicants already looking to transfer into our department. We'll keep working with that, and then that'll make 3 full-time officers. We'll be able to cover any minor shortfalls that we may have a little bit of time.
And his retirement, you said, is the end of
End of
next month.
February. About a month and a half, a little bit more, 2 months almost. On the land use side of things, the zoning board meets again Tuesday of next week for 2 hearings. First will be for an area variance for 117 Algonquin Road, and the second is a variance to allow Defiant Electric to convert more space at Tardif Hall into residential units. They currently have 4 dwelling units, which is the maximum our zoning allows, and they're asking for residential units there. So those hearings will be next week on the 13th. On the economic development front, we're still working with 56 Main Street, the restaurant location, to get someone in there, but we do have a solid prospect, but we're not ready to announce anything yet. But the town is continuing to work with Jim Kelleher, the owner of the building, and some restaurateurs that we know to see if we can get them in there relatively quickly. And then we're assisting Optimistic Brewing right now with some upgrades to their facility to satisfy the New Hampshire Liquor Commission. This is mostly related to food preparation mandate by the New Hampshire Liquor License Regulations. So our building department and land use department are continuing to work with them. And then we're looking forward to Bark and Bevy's grand opening at 11 a.m. on January 15th. We have worked with the Upper Valley Business Alliance, who will be on hand to run the ribbon cutting for that.
Sorry to interrupt, but before we get too far, going back to Optimistic for a moment, is the land swap still on the agenda?
They're still working on the documents.
That is something that may still be necessary?
Yeah, we need to get the completed survey to know what actually may need to happen, so they're working with their surveyor to get that done. We'll continue working through that process, and if the swap needs to happen, it'll come back to you guys for that. If not, I'll let you know.
It looked like it could actually fit without the swap.
Yeah, there's a little bit of question whether it'll fit or not, and then there's a little bit of question on where the actual survey line would be. When that gets done, if it does not need to happen, I'll update you guys that it doesn't need to happen. We still may have a conversation about the little strip of land in the back, because I don't know that the brewery wants to keep, call it the Oklahoma piece that sticks out there, but he's definitely willing to work with the town to see if we can do something better in that location.
Ed, is there an implication that the state of New Hampshire will mandate that Optimistic serve food?
There's a rule that they have to be able to serve food. I would need to dig a little deeper into what the requirement that they're working on there. They do work with some of our local businesses to deliver food in and do some of those things, but they may be requiring them to have a small food preparation area. On the public safety front, on December 30th, the police department had the final assessment from the state of New Hampshire accreditation. The assessment went very well, and the department expects certification for accreditation at the next February New Hampshire Law Enforcement Accreditation Committee meeting. So we're moving forward in that respect, and I think we won't be the first one, which we were hoping to be, but we'll be one of the first accredited, New Hampshire accredited police departments. The Enfield Public Safety Building, as discussed at the last meeting, will be hosting EMT basic course starting this month, and it'll run through March. This will be a hybrid online class. The classroom portion will be daytime at our public safety building, and then there'll be a hybrid online learning portion. This is a big step in the direction for our police officers and other public safety personnel to get certified. Once a majority of our officers are certified, we can put into action the response plan that we talked about from the Emergency Services Action Team for our police departments being the first dispatch to non-life-threatening incidents here in town. So, looking forward to moving in that direction. We did put an announcement out, and there may still be some class spots left if people of the public would like to sign up for that class. And then I think I said this last time, but we're building a relationship with these people, and I think it's going to be a location for ongoing classes. We're happy to do that. The new fire tanker has been delivered and is in service. It's already responded to 3 calls, and talking with Chief Neely today, the department's very happy with the operation of the truck, and we will be announcing in the near future a date and time for a push-in ceremony, but they have not set that date as of today yet. And then Phil just wanted me to let the board know that we continue to interview new candidates for the fire department. So that's an ongoing theme, I guess. Every month we seem to have more and more people that are coming to talk about it. So
If you build it.
on the DPW side, we did take ownership of our new plow truck that was paid for with the grant funds from the diesel fund. This was delivered and immediately placed into service on the Crystal Lake Shaker Hill route. We're waiting for instructions for the destruction of the truck that it replaces and the steps needed to receive the final grant. But the truck is here and has been put in service with the last few storms that we've had. The 2025 Tree City application has been submitted. And Jim just wanted me to update you guys that along with the tree work we did, we were able to submit, Liberty Utilities did tree work in the amount of about $500,000 along our right-of-ways, so that'll help with our Tree City application as we move forward. The roof over the citizen sand pile is complete. I don't know if you guys have been to DPW, but I got to go use it when I came back from vacation and had an ice storm at my house. And it was really nice to go in under some dry sand, really easy to scoop, not frozen. Nice. So it was nice, and we just want to thank the members of DPW that stepped forward to build that.
They got it up before that rain that we had that you were away at.
Yeah.
And so the pile did stay dry. It was great.
It did. I stopped in there. I knew they were building it, and I was wondering if I was coming into an ice block or a pile of sand, and it was a nice, easy pile.
Big difference.
I heard a lot of really nice compliments from citizens who were pleasantly surprised. And I think one of the things that's good to highlight to folks is that it was made with excess materials from other projects. So we didn't go out and budget and spend a bunch of money, that they used what they had, which is really admirable.
And just to reiterate, they've done that twice now because they built themselves a pretty nice shed in the back with recycled materials for them. To update the board and the public, Q4 2005 water sewer billing is complete, and the bill should be mailed out this week. So you should be expecting those. And then we are collecting Christmas trees right now at DPW next to the citizen sand bin. So if you have a tree you need to dispose of, make sure the decorations and stuff are off of that. You can drop that off there, and DPW will take those.
Until when?
Doesn't have an end date on here, so just keep taking them there, and we'll tell you when to stop. And then recreation, there's not enough much to report, but youth basketball has started and games and tournaments are upcoming. And then the Whaleback Ski Ride After School program registration has ended. There's 41 students that'll be taking part in the program, running for the next 6 Tuesdays, ending on February 17th. Good at that. If someone didn't get registered and they want to call, we may make an exception. For the most part, registration's ended there, and we're working with Whaleback to get that moving forward. And that's the end of my town manager's report.
Thank you. Next up, we have further business. First off, we have some tax deed properties. 140 Rice Road and 22 Daniels Drive.
So I'm bringing these forward to the board just to get the process started. I think I talked to you guys a little bit last meeting about 22 Daniels Drive, which is a mobile home in the Lakeside Co-op. I would like to move forward with the sale of that as we have in the past, where we sell it to the co-op for $1 and we get rid of the taxes, they get rid of the past due amount that we now owe in their park, and they take over the process of that. We do have a process we have to follow since we've taken these, where we send these properties to various committees in the planning board through town. And there's also a 60-day notice period for the prior owners of these before we can sell them. What I wanted to do was just get a basic idea from the select board if they wanted to go ahead and start that process or talk about any one of these before we move those forward. But I would like to get those 60-day letter notices signed, and then we would go through the process, and there would be a public hearing at the end. So it doesn't say you would have to sell them, but we could start the sale process.
Move that we implement the current policy we have with regard to the 22 Daniels Drive property.
One thing on that property, just so you guys know, I did work with our attorney on a past property we had there, and I think this one will fall into that, where the owner actually told us that they're walking away from it. So we may be able to go to them and get a letter of release signed, so we don't have to wait that 60 days. So if the board so chooses to sell that property, I will try to implement that process and see if we can get that a little fast.
I'll second that motion.
So do we make the vote now to sell it?
We can make a vote now to move forward on that. We will still have to go through the public hearing process and stuff and have a final vote. But if you guys want to make a motion to authorize me to start the sale process, we can do that. We can do one at a time, or we can do them both.
I'd rather do one at a time for the moment. I have some questions on Rice Road.
Okay.
But
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that, I had shared with you the letter from the citizen that's mentioned here. I wanted to make sure that she had an opportunity to speak
Okay.
at the public hearing regarding her ideas.
Yes.
Down on the Daniels Drive, we have a map and a lot, but it's part of the mobile home cooperative, right?
Yeah, the property is actually owned by the cooperative. It's the mobile home
Okay,
itself.
so we don't have to do a hearing on the mobile home itself, do we? It's not the property, it's just
I can look into that a little bit more.
I don't think we've done, maybe we,
Sale of property.
I feel like because it's not,
I thought we had a policy where we would sell a mobile home that's on a leased property to the mobile home landowner for $1.
We do. I can, yeah.
And we'd forgive the taxes. That would conclude our interaction.
Yeah, I'll double check that we don't have to do a public hearing on that, but I believe you're right. We do have to do the 60-day notice still to the property owner per the attorney.
That makes sense.
To be able to sell it to the landowner.
Yes. We took that, someone's home from them, we need to give them 60 days to come back and purchase it back before we sell it.
On the Rice Road property, I just want to harken back to the very long Methodist Hill Property Committee discussion, which was, I think, very well done, and then played out that it got sold in the interim period, which is fine. In this case, the person is deceased, so that probably wouldn't happen unless it's been through a court process and somebody has fully inherited it and does it and redeems it, or sells it and redeems it.
I did
But
send this, just so you guys know, to our attorney,
Yeah.
and we did a widespread search to see if we could find a next of kin, and there was no next of kin.
okay, so that's probably not a likely outcome. In that discussion on Methodist Hill, it came up that it could be great for conservation, it could be great for a park. This is very, very close in proximity. This abuts Whaleback immediately. So I guess I don't necessarily want to start a whole committee, but I want to think about the fact that we've been through a similar process and that pretty much any parcel in this town that gets deeded to the town, someone tells us it would be a great park.
Could you say that again?
Sure, any parcel that we have as a town that's a surplus parcel in one way or another, be it tax deeding or in the case of Union Street, somebody always tells us it should be a park. And so I guess Rice Road is not a good road. That is the nicest thing I can think. If you've driven up Rice Road, it is not terribly accessible. It does not have great parking. I don't want to start a whole committee and process for a park. I love conservation, but I'd be more interested in exploring, if the town wanted to do something, I would be more interested in having it combined to do some kind of recreation piece with Whaleback than having a park, starting to establish a park. I mean, we have spent so much money as a town on projects, and I just am very uncomfortable starting a new project that would cost us money.
Thank you.
Well, it's also, if we're talking about that property, we're also, that might be why you're here, but the two abutters that were in there also were in the process of purchasing that land.
My questions have to do with the property, since it abuts Whaleback. And if we vote to take the property for taxes,
We already took it.
Very good.
which we've already done, I'd like to see us have a discussion with Whaleback as to whether, and confirm, given their financial strait, I know it's difficult, but whether they have an interest in the property to help them with the ski area, because part of the trail on that end actually crosses over onto this property.
If it goes up for sale, Whaleback would have an equal opportunity to engage in that process.
I think since we have already taken the property for taxes, we can have a discussion with them without going to an open bid process. I think we can talk to them, see whether they are interested in the property at all. The second thing is what happens to the, since it's 60 acres and in current use, and it comes out of current use, any money that exceeds the taxes that it's taken for have to be returned to someone.
If we sell it for more than we taken it from, then it needs to go to someone. We cannot find next of kin, so it'll probably end up going to state funds, people that you can't.
Sir, could you give us your name first?
Can you go to the?
Sorry. You want to start at the beginning, just because it doesn't go into the minutes for folks?
Your name again for the record, if you would, please.
Pete Rauert, I'll spell it because no one can, R-A-U-E-R-T, 139 Rice Road. I'm one of the abutters. It is not 61 acres. If you look at the satellite and the surveys of adjacent land, it's really 43. Julie Huntley knows the history extremely well. She had to deal with Dory Miles. It's really 43 acres. And Dorothy Miles, or Dory Miles as she'd like to be called, tried to pursue that with the town, but would not get a survey because it was extremely expensive. And so it's really, don't represent it as 61 acres. It's not, it's 43. If you have questions about the lot, I've been in the house with the owner's permission when she was alive. It's a death trap. It's falling down. Porcupines now occupy it. The second floor has fallen into the first floor. The first floor has fallen into the basement or cellar. There's no electricity. There never was. There's a phone line, and there's a well gravity fed. That's the only utility that house has. It's coming down by itself. It does abut Whaleback to the west, John Bernardi's property to the east, John Macleoka's property to the north, and my property to the south. And yes, a portion of it does touch Whaleback. That's true. What questions about the property do you have? There's plenty of debris on the property, used cars, tires, mattresses. The house has to come down. There's no way to repair it. I saw a reference that someone thought they could repair it. No, there's no way. If you've been in the house, I made it 10 feet in with a respirator and a rope, and I backed out. I have video evidence of that if you need that. What questions for that property can I answer for you? I think you have to look at the house and you'll just, the answer is obvious. We were in the process of buying it. John Bernardi, the other butter, has backed out. I would be interested. We're beekeepers. I'm building my retirement home on the lot I now own. And we would use that land. We would conserve it and use it for an apiary, or at least for forage for our bees, if the town were willing to sell it to us, or anyone for that matter in that process. So I did send, Mr. Morris, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you face to face.
Nice to meet you.
I did send you some information. I don't know if you want to share that with the board. You're free to.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. And Rice Road is a rough road. There's no utilities up there. It's very expensive to bring power up. There's no water up there, and it's impassable some days in the winter, clearly.
Interesting. I've lived in Enfield my whole life. I have no idea where Rice Road is.
Do you know exit 15, where the animal shelter is?
Yeah.
Immediately when you get off the exit, as you approach the animal shelter, you take a right-hand turn straight up the hill.
Oh, okay.
It's up, up, up.
Very exciting.
It's
Keep,
up,
and
up,
keep
up,
going up.
and it ends at a T. My property's on the left, and Dorothy Miles' house, or Dory Miles' house, is on the right. And it's we call it
Thank you very much.
the haunted house because that's what it looks like. Thank you.
Do we know, without looking, since I don't have my laptop on, do we know how much is owed in taxes at this time?
I don't have that with me. That's it. That'll be gone. I mean, it'll just be a recouped cost when we do it. Like I said, right now, we don't need to make the decision if we're going to sell it or not. It's more, if it's something that we think we might want to sell, I would like to get the process started. This is one of the properties that would have to go through the planning board and conservation commission. And there's a process and a 60-day waiting period before we can do anything, no matter what. And so if it's something we think we might want to sell, I would like to start the process and we can get the information that you want to make a final decision before the public hearing would happen.
I,
To admit, I'm sort of agreeing with Kate on this one. I think that property, I'm sure it's lovely, but is a little bit far afield, I think, be a good park for the town of Enfield.
I think that we should start the process because the process is long and because it goes through many committees. Take their feedback. If we find something compelling along the way when we're listening, we certainly can take that into account. In the past, we have, with a property that had some pretty serious amount of debris on Route 4A, there was a mobile home, there was a significant number of tires, there was trash. We had discussed the merits of selling it as is with a requirement they clean it up versus us cleaning it up, depending on how much is owed in taxes. I would be very uncomfortable selling it with debris on it, I guess, unless somebody tells me otherwise. I'd almost like to see it, because we're allowed to recoup that money if we clean it up. It's my understanding last time, so I'd like to explore, how much is it to have, I'm going to just say Hammonds because they're commonly used. I know there's other folks, but how much would it be to clean up the lot and kind of get an idea on that? So as we're having these discussions in committees, we know that because it's obviously a safety issue, and right now we own this.
Well, as far as cleanup goes, we did get some estimates. It was hard to find people who would be willing to demolish that house. And again, this was when Dory Miles was alive. With her permission, I did get estimates. It's somewhere between $30,000 and $70,000 to demolish that house. The higher end would be if there's anything unforeseen in it, including asbestos. We don't know that. That's just for the house. That's not the debris on the land. It has never been surveyed to our knowledge. Survey estimates are extremely expensive. I'm very shocked to see what it costs to do a survey, but that's another issue. Probably before it can be sold, it probably would need to be surveyed. That house will be coming down on its own soon. I don't know when, a year or two from now, probably falling down. The roof is already caving in. So that's an expense to be considered as well. And again, Mr. Morris has all the details that I've documented for it. I want to share that with. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Other comments from the board?
Just, I think we should move forward with the process with the intent to sell it.
I second that. I just want to make sure that all the abutters, including Whaleback, are aware of the potential sale.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to start the sale process on 140 Rice Road.
Second.
Want to do them both since we didn't do the last one?
Oh, I thought he did the,
I did the last one.
There was a motion, there was never a second or a vote.
okay, yeah. All right, I make a motion to authorize the town manager to start the sale process on the parcel at 140 Rice Road and the mobile home at 22 Daniels Road while the town completes due diligence prior to final sale authorization.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay. Next up, we have proposed personnel policy amendments.
Okay, so these are coming back in front of the board. We talked about them at the last meeting. I can find my paper. There was a question on the end of the continued healthcare section, if any employees were current. There is not any current employees on it. The one current employee that's moved from the town and still on town insurance is going through COBRA and not this policy. That's pretty much that part. And then I had brought up at the end of last meeting, possible change from the 80/20 copay to the 80/15 copay. While I still think that's something we should do, I think that's something we should research throughout this year and bring forward in the beginning of the budget process next year, not try to make that change at this.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to authorize the changes to Section 6 of the Personnel Policy and the amended health insurance premiums as presented in the January 5th, 2026 packet.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next. 2026 draft warrant review.
This is coming back before you. We made a few of the changes we talked about in the last meeting. I don't know if you want me to go through everything, but I do want to highlight a couple places. One, Article 3, we were contacted by our engineers. We had $1.1 million in there. They had come up with the $1.1 million estimate, taking the generator and a few of the options that we think are important on there, trying to fit them within the ARPA timelines, because we had the ARPA money. They came back and said that they thought it would be a good idea that we put that back in, so that article has changed from 1.1 million to 1.4 million. I'd like to have that discussion with the board and look at moving that forward. I did a little bit of work on the explanation draft below it for the narrative warrant article for you guys to look at, just to try to explain that a little bit better for the voters if we move that forward. Article 4 is pretty much the same. We didn't change that. Yeah, the one decision, and we talked about this at the budget committee, is on the loan thing, or on the Walk a Mile Trail. We had talked at one time about that coming from CIP. At Budget Committee, it was recommended that we bring that forward as a loan instead. I do think it's a little bit cleaner to the taxpayers at that point. Are they willing to do it as a loan? Are they not willing to do it as a And then they put at the bottom highlighted whether you would want to pay the principal from that loan, the premiums and the interest from CIP, or if that was something you'd have to do through the tax process. So that's a decision for the board to make on Article 4. I did want to have the discussion a little bit as we move forward on the loan process as well. Like I said, we do think that's a little bit cleaner, and it gives I think the public a cleaner vote on whether they want to do that project or not.
Okay, help me out here. When we do a road or like a major paving project and we bond it in the form of a loan, that flows through CIP?
If it's a CIP project that's approved through CIP, we will have the loan in CIP and the loan.
Do we have anything like that that is outside of CIP right now? Because to me, large dollar amounts flow through CIP. That's why I'm confused.
Oh, yeah, the two big buildings did not flow through CIP.
Right.
So it doesn't have
It
to,
doesn't
but most of the time it does. So it's really a CIP committee and a select board decision. CIP did approve it in their project, but they were concerned whether we wanted to do the project at all or not, just as the select board was.
CIP approved it for a public vote.
Yeah.
CIP approved it with that condition.
Yeah, and left it in the plan.
Yes.
I think if it's in the plan and CIP hasn't pulled it out of their plan, then it should, principal and interest should flow through CIP. I know it's not funded, but it's a loan.
Yeah, no, it's one of those
I'm
things.
not
And we have
asking to take it out
things,
of cash. I'm saying if it's in the CIP plan, we shouldn't be telling.
we just have things in there. The plan doesn't mean that's coming. There's multiple things in the plan that come from the
Loan.
fund. So it's just a funding mechanism, and if you want it to come from CIP, we need to make sure that wording's in the.
I think it makes sense doing it this way. It clarifies that it is a bonded amount, or an amount that will be paid by interest and principal out of the CIP, but it requires folks to vote on it, which I think is crucial to the process.
Yeah, it gives approval for the loan, but just like other loans, it doesn't necessarily have to be a loan either. If CIP committee in the future decides, you know what, let's just pay it, or if we find a way to reduce that amount, do that. But I think it makes it
Well,
really
I
clear.
think it's pretty clear.
it's a
I mean,
loan. Are
in
they-
the highlight yellow, it says that if it's approved, that the CIP reserve fund will be used for the annual principal and interest payments. It doesn't say anything that it's approved for any sort of outright purchase at all, no.
Yeah, but that's still a CIP and select board decision. We did that with the sidewalks. It was approved as a loan. We didn't take the loan, we just paid for it. And you guys still could do that, but.
Because we have authorized the issuance of not more than $517,087 of bonds or notes.
Yeah.
So it gives us the option, but we don't have. I think people will, I guess, this is going to be a very interesting town meeting discussion.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good.
And I think having it
Discussion
worded
for-
this way should give us some really good feedback from people about how they feel. And we should endeavor to, if they pass it, also honor loan versus CI, because I think maybe we'll get some, maybe we'll end up in the middle, but I feel like we're going to get some strong feedback.
Yeah, and I think this was I think it's a lot clearer because this is kind of a binding article authorizing us to take a loan. The other one was not non-binding article asking an opinion.
Yeah.
This is good.
This is binding. We'll get an opinion as to whether or not folks want to spend this money. That's what we want.
I agree.
Just from my understanding, why did CIP recommend a loan for this versus paying cash, as we have been doing in the last few years?
Yeah, CIP didn't recommend that. It actually came out of CIP as we need to ask the voters because it was pretty split whether we do this project or not. The Select Board, I don't want to speak for you, but I kind of got the same feeling from you guys of we don't know if we want to spend $500,000 on this or not. Let's send it to the voters. At the Budget Committee, we had a long discussion and we thought doing it as a loan made it a lot more clear and transparent. And if people are willing to take a loan on this, they want to do that. So we thought wording it as a loan was just a lot stronger, clearer, more transparent way to get the approval of the voters. That's where I was saying we've gotten approval for loans on other things and then decided it was better financially for the town to just make a payment, and that would be something that the CIP committee could work with the Select Board to decide in the future. Or they could decide to take a loan and pay interest on the $500,000, however long they took the loan.
Yeah, so my only other comment would be on the narrative to include a line on just a little bit of the history of the overall application. 'Cause I believe it was initiated by Conservation or Heritage, one of those.
Kind of sort of came through Heritage on the
Yeah.
Byways Committee, but it's been in the kind of the 10-year byway for plus years. And
Right, but I think that that's an important piece of the story here of how we got to this point, is that the Heritage Commission put together the original application, did a lot of the early work on this, and that they've been, active on it for a decade now.
I agree, Eric. I think the other piece may want to call out is we've discussed in the past how this would cover some of our parking along Main Street that we likely need to do anyways. There's been many discussions over time about Lakeside Park parking. And so if, explaining what, if any, this will cover and how, just to give people an idea, like, hey, if we were going to pave this section anyways, it would be, and I'm going to throw a random number so no one hold me to it, $300,000, right? Like, pick a round number. To give people an idea of what they might be paying for anyways if they want to do a portion of the project. So they could say to themselves, gee, it's worth it to me to spend a little bit more to get a larger project, or hey, it's not worth it to me. I think that kind of information really helps people. We're not trying to persuade them one way or another. We're giving them enough information to make a good decision.
Okay. As we continue through this, Article 5 is the DPW truck. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Article 6 is the operating budget. Article
Can I
7
ask
is
a
CIP.
quick question? Are those public hearing dates in flux, or are they still correct?
January 15th.
Those are legacies. They are from 2025. So
Okay,
they're not
those are the
correct.
public hearing dates. Those are posted and for the select board meeting on the 15th.
Okay, so it will be on the 15th.
Yes.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the conversation we had earlier.
No,
Okay.
What, just remind.
it's the budget committee public hearing, not on the notes public. Article 7 CIP. That's pretty straightforward. Article 8 is appropriating the $20,000 to go to the police recruitment retention fund from, I think they had $29,000 left is what we're projecting from this year's budget. So it's just a little bit of their extra salary to help keep that recruitment and retention bonus moving forward. Article 9 and 10 are a little bit there needs to be some discussion here. This is to see if the town will vote to discontinue the municipal facilities maintenance equipment reserve line. With SB2, I'm going to say there's a little bit of risk to doing it this way. If Article 9 were to pass, this would be falling into fund balance. Article 10 would be moved to CIP. So if Article 10 were to fail and Article 9 passed, then the money would fall into fund balance. And as we discussed a little earlier, it's harder to move that money from fund balance. Right now, the select board is agents to spend the municipal facilities maintenance fund, and they would be if it went into the capital reserve, the CIP fund. The one thing, we could put this on the warrant as it's written here, do away with the article, move the money to CIP. The other thing we could do is take this off the warrant article and use it more like we did the sidewalk fund. Do a project. I'm going to just throw an example. We're trying to get quotes on the police building next door, and we're looking at what we want to do with that. We could use the money out of this municipal facilities maintenance and equipment reserve line to do an upgrade to that building, bring that reserve fund down to zero, and do away with it in a future year. So it's just a little bit of a kind of a strategic thinking on how the select board would like to move this through the voting process.
Can't we simplify these two articles by simply saying in Article 9
No,
that we discontinue the fund and move the money into the capital reserve fund?
no. State law does not let you.
Wouldn't that be lovely, though? I am in favor of eliminating Articles 9 and 10. I think that we do have projects we can do. They are responsible. It's not like we're spending it just for spending it. And I also think this is a very long warrant. It's the first time as an SB2, super long. I mean, I don't know, this could be like 4 or 5 more pages, double-sided. I am in favor if we can simplify and then address closing it out next year. It's not hurting it having it, it's just a housekeeping matter.
And I think the whole purpose for the select board was to move this into CIP to use kind of in the same manner that it's been.
And I don't think putting it in $15,000, that's a lot of money in some ways, but not in terms of how much we have in CIP and how much.
So your recommendation, Kate, is to eliminate Article 9 and 10?
Yep. And if we want to do
Just
housekeeping
live with the status
next year.
quo.
Yep, if we want to do housekeeping next year, do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when we're,
As we have $15,076 approximately remaining municipal facilities maintenance and equipment capital fund at this time.
I would say spend it on projects we're planning to do and do it correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should eliminate Article 9 and 10.
And I agree also that we don't want this document to get too long.
Right.
The longer it is, the more people are likely to vote against things.
Or just stop voting.
That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
So-
make sure we account for it correctly.
If you guys want to do that, I would like a
I
motion
make a
to-
motion that we eliminate proposed Articles 9 and 10.
Second.
All in, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous.
Article 11, we talked about this a little bit last time, but it's discontinuing the municipal water meter backflow preventer capital reserve. We do have a capital reserve in the water fund, and this one's not as big a deal because anything that falls in the water fund stays in the water fund, and we move into the capital reserve if we need to. But it's really become an ongoing every year maintenance issue. I think this was a really good idea when we were first starting the program to replace meters, but it's not needed anymore. Article 10 is to rescind the authority to borrow the $40,000 for the sidewalk improvements. So we talked about that a little bit before.
Article
We
12.
used a little bit of our reserved Article 12. Then the Public Works building improvements, the improvements that we are going to do have been done, and we have not used those. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Article 13 is to authorize the selectmen to accept gifts of personal property. What this really does is, right now, we have to have a public hearing for every gift that we take on, and this would allow us to not have a public hearing if it's under $5,000. We would still have to do it on a select board agenda item and accept it, but we wouldn't have to go through the public hearing process. I see no reason not to leave this on here, because if it fails, we do things exactly the same as we are right now. And that's the proposed warrant. We'll need to have any discussion you guys want to have, and then do we need to fully authorize it this meeting, or? We could do it after the budget hearing. Okay. So we don't need to vote on this tonight, but any discussion or any changes you guys would like to see about? Okay, yeah, on the first page, on page 36, the first page, we kind of have a redundant, there's a yellow section and a green section. We're going to have one or the other of those. We have sent this to the attorney for review. We would like the green one that's a little bit cleaner and clearer and more concise, but we want to make sure we have the proper language to warn. Hopefully we get that back soon, and we'll get that in front of you before final voting.
And final voting on this town warrant by us will be when?
You can do it after the budget hearing when we have final numbers for the budget, those types of things. So the budget hearing night, we can make that final vote, but we'd like to talk about it. We'll keep it on the agenda for any meeting if you guys
But
want
if
any.
we postpone the final budget hearing until
We
the
didn't.
date we spoke of,
No,
We
we
can't.
can't. That was the last date.
I mean,
Oh.
that date
Yeah,
we
that was
spoke
the
of
last.
in non-public session
Is the final day.
is the final
the
date,
date.
agreed. We don't have a select board meeting after that.
No, but you will be at the budget committee hearing.
So, yes, we would
You
have
could
to,
vote on it there.
would have to accept this warrant at the budget hearing.
I'm sorry, I'm
Guys can
confused.
do a
Is the budget
preliminary.
hearing the 15th or the 20th?
The 15th is your select board meeting. The 20th is the budget hearing,
budget hearing.
public hearing.
And so when do we vote on it? I'm not here on the 20th.
The 20th, you can vote on it. We can do a preliminary approval on the 15th if you guys would like, and if nothing changes, then you're good to go, but you should be at the budget hearing anyway to go through the final budget numbers and the final hearing, and you guys could vote on the final numbers and the yes, no if you,
I think we
to-
should do our preliminary on the 15th, like you said. And if we find something needs to change, somebody who voted in the affirmative can make a motion to put it back on the table and make a modification. That's the process. So that would be done on the 20th if we had to make a change for some reason. It's pretty unusual, but we've done this in the past where we've done kind of the what you're calling pre-approval, but we've done all of our approvals, and it was the final budget number that we had to, I think, put back on the table one time.
All right, so it sounds like what we'll do is you'll use the numbers as we know of them on our final select board meeting this month. Prepare this warrant article for acceptance at that time using the numbers as we understand them on the 15th. Need to review on the 20th and change things, then we'll do so. But
yeah. Well, in the budget,
this will be prepared for a final vote on the 15th.
it'll be ready for there, and then you guys will be at the budget hearing. The budget hearing is held to get public input and maybe make changes to the budget, so things that might change at the last minute will be changed. You guys can reaffirm anything or make any changes that you need done at that meeting. So if you guys have anything you'd like to discuss tonight, we can discuss it. If you guys have any ideas before our next meeting that you'd like presented, please get those to us, and we'll get those onto this document, either as a change or as a recommended change. And we'll get them in front of you to have a vote next meeting.
Comments, thoughts from the board?
I'm good with that plan.
I just need really clear communication about dates and purposes of meetings, like over the next, until town meeting is over, because I'm just becoming increasingly confused.
So the select board public hearings are January 15th. The budget public hearing is January 20th. You cannot approve the warrant until you have a final budget number, which does not happen until after the public hearing on the budget. So we can approve everything except for that article on the 15th. We have to wait until the 20th to give a final approval. We could do, as Kate said, a preliminary approval using the number that's going to go into the budget hearing. However, if that number were to change after the hearing, we would have to reapprove that article.
So if I am required to be at the 20th, I can do my best to attend remotely, but I'll be out of town for work. And I don't mean to be unavailable. I just feel like these dates are popping up and I was not made aware.
If you can be anywhere near the time zone, will be.
And I think
would be
what's
great.
important to remember is when we say approve, we have that, the budget, the Board of Selectmen recommends this article. So that's what I think people are referencing as approve, which sounds kind of confusing, but really it's whether we are going to recommend or not recommend. That's what the vote is on. So we would go through each of these articles, recommend or not recommend, which is why that first number we would do a preliminary, and then if it changed for some reason, we put it back on the table and change recommendations or not at that time. I think that's the only one you're really at risk of missing. Is that a,
We're approving I'm going to say the wording of the articles.
Right.
Some of those are DRA mandated, and some of them, we're trying to get them approved for the attorney before your next meeting, but if the attorney needs some wording adjusted, we'll adjust that much. But really, it's the articles that are going on.
it's you're placing it on and doing the recommendation. We usually do them together. You can do them separately.
Is the narrative printed as part of the warrant, or is it?
No, we put it together on one paper so you guys can see it, but the warrant itself will just have the warrant articles,
So
and then in the
Usual,
report and what we
the way we've
present,
usually done it, which is a separate piece of paper.
it'll be a separate,
the
it
narrative.
has to be a separate piece of paper.
And I'm going to assume then that the narrative will be available to us on the 15th.
Yeah, we'll keep it available to you. I mean, this is kind of the warrant narrative as it sits right now. What we'll do is we'll present this to you. If you want them in two separate pieces of paper next time, we can.
I think it would be good if we saw what we were going to wind up seeing at the deliberation session.
Okay. We will make two separate papers. We tried to just keep them together for now to make it easier. So
Do we only need one trustee of trust funds? Going back to Article 1. Are we currently?
we're full right now.
Okay, I just wanted to, thank you.
We never made a vote on that latest addition to trustee of trust funds. Do
Didn't
we
have
make a
to.
vote on that at
We
all?
won the
Town
election.
meeting.
We don't make a vote on that,
No.
even if it's a temporary?
It's not a temporary.
No, they won
We
at
won
town
the
meeting.
election.
Okay.
When a write-in wins and they accept, it's binding.
Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, 2026 default budget review. This is exciting.
So in front of you is the default budget again. There has been some changes made since the last time you saw this. I did a deep dive research project on what actually is a contract and what is not a contract for the default budget. And a lot of the things we had in there as contracts, Primex contracts, SimQuest contracts, those types of things that we've signed already actually do not fall within the legal definition. So we removed those from there. But the other thing that did not fall within the legal definition that we had in there was the health insurance, which went down in cost. So based on default budget rules, that goes back to last year's budget number. So we've readjusted that and put it in there. Also, as discussed a little bit earlier, the 2026 budget and the 2026 town manager requested budget in there has not been updated. We have made some tweaks to the budget, so those actual final numbers on the sheet that you have are not accurate to what the budget itself is, but the default budget numbers are accurate as far as we know it at this time. This is the default budget coming to you for final approval.
So we're,
With the changes that you just mentioned verbally, will this default budget be in shape on the 15th?
It should be in shape now for you guys to approve this. If for some reason something happens between now and the 15th, we can do that, or we can push this for that one. But I would like to have some sort of discussion if you guys have any questions on this, so the budget committee has a firm default number for their meeting this week.
so my understanding is that the default budget we are being asked to approve right now is only the column that says 2026 default budget, and to ignore the two columns to the left. Is that correct? Okay. So the number is $9,382,702 expenditures.
Get to the end of it.
Just want to make sure we're,
So, yeah, 9,382,702. With this, and just to help people understand that contract thing, because it gets very confusing, is a contract is only a contract in the eyes of the legislature for the default budget if it was approved in the previous year's meeting. So the best example I have of that is our Casella contract. It's a 3-year contract. The amount was approved in the budget committee. There is an escalator increase built into that contract. That is a contract, and we can escalate that price to the length of the contract. The Primex contract, our insurance went up by like $30,000 this year. We signed a contract in November that we would accept insurance from them next year. According to the legislature, that does not count as a contract, and we can't add that $30,000 into this budget. So it goes back to I think it's a $78,000 number, quote me specifically, but it goes back to last year's number. We just need to find how to work through that at the default budget.
The thing that impresses me about this as I look at this default budget, these sheets, is that the default budget would only be about 1% less than our requested budget. That suggests that we have done some pretty good fine tuning creating a budget. And Kylie, you're looking suspicious. Yeah.
um,
No.
because, yeah,
Yep.
we can't. That can't go in the default budget. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. So in future years, when we negotiate with the newly created union, and they have, I'm assuming, a multi-year contract, that would count as a contract and be incorporated into the default?
Yeah, I believe union contracts would fall into that.
That's what it was when I dealt with it for the school district, but,
Yep.
okay. Right, by the voters, not, yep.
Which means that the negotiations have to be concluded before voting day.
Yep.
And on the flip side, right now, any anticipated possible raise is not included because it is not a contractual obligation.
Yeah, we would have to, since the contract will be completed after
Yep.
this, they would be, unless we had it already put in.
Are there further questions or considerations from the board?
I just want one, again, mostly for my own understanding, on page 43, just below one of the lines, the Whitney Hall maintenance.
Yep.
I understand that there's some one-time projects. Can you just go through how that maintenance line, some of it is one-time, some of it is not?
Yeah, we only have so many line items, so This project in here was put in last year's budget to outfit this room, do some of those things as part of the maintenance. This was a one-time budget item. We're not going to this room. You know, there's always those little things that go through your head of we still have some work to do here, but I don't think that's legit in here. So we pulled those prices back out of that, and it really truly comes back down to maintenance of the.
No, I agree with that logic, but is it fair to say that that particular piece is a judgment call? Some of these, a lot of these are very much state mandated, legal, thou shalt do it this way. Just from my own understanding, is that kind of decision a judgment call on our part?
A little bit. I mean, we can try to justify what's one time, what's not one time, but
I'm more getting at what kind of guidance do we need to provide you for preparing this? And I agree with the decision. This room is a one-time expense. It should be removed from the default budget. I just want to make sure I'm understanding exactly how, like where we're making decisions versus where we're executing the law.
yeah, most of it is executing the law. I mean, tried to put in there, and we do have to put in the DRA. We put it in the DRA portal. We have to put whether it was a one-time fee removal contract, if it differs from last year's budget. So those are, if you look through the Whitney Hall one-time project, we can talk through those types of line items of what is a one-time project, what is not a one-time project.
Are we ready to move on?
I think you need a motion, right? Need a motion to, no.
We could, or at least send this to the budget committee. Final approval could happen at the next meeting, but I know in discussions with Dimitri and them, they want a pretty final number for this. So you want to pass this on as that? I think it would be good to approve this as the default budget with a motion, and then if there's some major change or something that happens, I can bring it back to you and explain why. But
You're pretty comfortable with the numbers as presented here? the
yeah, we
default.
went through these a lot, and I'm pretty comfortable with these numbers. Like I said, the big change that happened last time was just reviewing the law changes from 2022 on what a contract is and what it.
I move that we accept this listing of $9,382,702 as the default budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Moving on. Authorization to sign intents to cut.
So I think this one's pretty simple. We have a new assessing administrator. Julie Huntley was our assessing administrator. She retired, and Sarah Hannon, and she just needs select board authorization to sign these intent to cut and to move forward.
And on page 53, we have such a motion. Like to give it?
I'll move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the hired assessing administrator to sign intent to cut forms on behalf of the town effective immediately.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Next up, voluntary water use restriction.
This one's pretty simple too. Near the end of the summer, we put in a voluntary water use restriction as the drought continued to get worse, and we were a little worried going into fall and winter that we wouldn't get enough snowfall. We've gotten quite a bit of water early this year, and we would like to remove the voluntary water use restriction. If so needed in the next summer period, we can reinstate that.
I move that the voluntary water use restriction be discontinued effective immediately.
Second.
All right, everyone in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye, it's unanimous. 26 fee schedule. Do you want to do that tonight, Ed, or do you want to?
I think we need to do this fee schedule tonight.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about a little bit of other stuff real quick before we do that, but this is the fee schedule. It really hasn't changed much. We've made a recommendation to the library, and I haven't got final decision, but it is theirs to decide, where their photocopier charges for black and white are 20 cents and the rest of the town does 25 cents. I've asked them to match our fees just so fees across the town are the same, but the library trustees will assess that. And then we have a new addition in the cemetery that they recommended for deed transfers of $10. Other than that, these are very similar to what you've seen in the past. We do normally get these approved by the select board so we can put them in the annual report. That's where they usually live. We also keep them in town office. I was going to come to you with some discussions of some fees that we may be able to start preparing, but those were not accurately prepared and fully thought through to do. So one thing I would like to do is talk with the select board about kind of charging staff, or I can charge staff with going through some different places where we think fees might be reasonable to start charging them. There are some places that other towns charge fees that we don't, that I think are reasonable, and some of them I don't. One of the ones that a lot of towns charge that we do not charge is false alarm charges for emergency response. You know, of course, we would want to give 1 or 2 grace periods, but we do have some places around town that have multiple false alarms using town resources throughout the year. Charging some sort of fee for that to encourage them to fix their system more than anything. It's probably a good fee that we should look at doing. Other towns charge for things like notarizing documents and stuff that we do for free that I don't really feel would be a great thing to move forward. I think it would be a very minimal revenue. There's administrative costs to tracking all those things, and I think it's just a great service to provide. But I do think it's something that maybe over the next year, working with the budget committee, who would like to maybe see us bolster some revenues and things, that we can do a little deeper dive on a department by department level, seeing what other towns are charging, what that fee could look like in our town, and what that revenue impact would be, and bring it back to the select board before we enter into budget season next year. Another thing I would like to do is review this fee schedule next year prior to budget committee, so something we want to look at, that we can get that in front of people, do the research that we do, and then bring it back around to the select board for final approval.
Can we change any of these at this point?
There's a few of yours that you can, but I don't know that you have the research behind them unless you see something grossly out. The zoning board fees, planning board fees, library fees, they all set their own. So those would be something, if you see something out of whack or you think might be out of whack, to send back to those boards to do it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I see the community building in Tacoma Beach parking lot. Is there a fee for the Mascoma Pavilion, Mascoma Lakeside Pavilion?
We approved as a select board a couple years ago, I believe, a rental charge fee for people if they want to rent it and reserve the pavilion, but there's no fee to just go use it. But if you wanted to rent it for a wedding or something, which people have done, then there is a fee.
So that's why it doesn't fall into this.
Should add that. We
It's
can
like a-
add that. It's in another policy that I have asked Todd to review, but we
Okay.
can add that to this.
I don't know, it just seemed like it would be lumped with this type, I don't,
Yep.
Where is that, Alice?
oh, is administrative fees on page 56?
We can add that and either add it or bring it back to you next
I was
week.
going to say, if you add that, you need to add Hughes.
Forgive me, Alice. What are you suggesting we add at this point?
I'm not really suggesting to add it. I just thought, isn't there a fee for renting Mascoma Lakeside Park Pavilion, and why wouldn't that be here?
I
If
see.
you don't think it's necessary or appropriate to add because it's somewhere else, that's fine, but
It's somewhere else right now, but I do think that all the fees we charge as a town should be on our fee schedule.
One of the ones that came up just this week for myself and family was that we discovered that in renting 2 consecutive blocks, the community center, you pay a $150 security deposit each block, even though they're consecutive. So that to rent 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4, you actually pay $300 instead of $150 that period of time.
Well, those will be coming before you soon. I have charged Todd with reviewing those and actually really, really looking at the community building cost, which we think is low. So
It may be too low, but the point is, it
So
did
I don't-
not seem quite appropriate to double, if you're booking back-to-back, double the security deposit for that rental. Didn't make a lot of common sense when we paid it this week. And here it says one-time security deposit anyway, so it's,
I can talk to him about that, but yeah, I don't think that really has to do with this fee schedule.
I suspect it's the software and he was locked into it by,
He can probably move it, but yeah, I'll talk to him and see what we do.
the other one that was confusing to me on this is that you've got the Tacoma Beach parking upper lot charge, $1 per day, 15 consecutive days season, and that's done by a parking sticker. So are you saying that these are the charges for the parking sticker?
Oh, these are the out-of-town fees, and they actually get a parking permit.
So they get a card of some kind? Okay.
I'd like to revisit that Tacoma Beach parking lot fee because I had at one point forecasted it forward and it is far, far too low. $1 a day is too low. And we often I hear from people when it's really hot that residents in town can't get a spot. And I mean, it's not like we're sending an officer over to observe it. So we've got to do something about Tacoma. Oh, it's like from the 80s, right?
No, I think we need to do that, and a lot of people, I think, just don't get it, so it would be an enforcement issue.
People tell me all the time you can park there for free from other towns. I'm like, no.
So if you guys would like to raise any of those, we can, or we can put that in our fee review.
I'd put it,
And have that done before summer.
I'd put it in the review because I'd actually go the other way. I think we should get rid of those parking fees. There's, enforcement's going to cost way more than $1 a day. We don't do it now. You're only going to encourage people to go park at the Lakeside Park where there is no fee. I don't think there's any value in that fee. It just creates administrative burden and doesn't accomplish anything.
I think we just added to the review for this year.
And that's fine, add it to the review. If you're looking for feedback on the review, I would hate to have a fee for anybody for emergency services showing up. Nobody should consider cost when calling emergency services.
Where it says vehicle registration for town to do state portion, $3. Is that for a renewal as well?
Those are state mandated. We can't change those.
State
So it's-
mandated in that,
That $3 is the maximum we can charge for that, and $2 is the charge for the application.
Am I understanding correctly, we're going to be reviewing this at a later date?
If we want to make changes, yes. If you guys have any changes you want to make tonight, we can make changes tonight. That one you can't change because that's state mandated.
increase those fees.
There's a $5 fee that the voters had of a offset road maintenance that could be added by the select, that has never been added by the select board.
Say that again, there's a $5 fee, the voters approved,
I understand was approved at a earlier town meeting that was never actually
and it's never been implemented.
implemented.
You don't know why it's never been implemented.
I do not. I think it's come to the select board a couple times. John might know more
$5
than I
for
do.
registration would automatically to the revenue stuff.
I think that, again, I think that's something that we
The only
do in
fee that
this
really
review.
goes up.
And we're not doing it.
Idea. I've never heard of it before.
But it's there, it was voted by the voters.
That's what I have been told and given stuff by the clerk, but I can get that.
Let's find the
information for you.
documentation and the vote.
Yeah, I'm not ready to add it tonight.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to, if they did vote it, we don't get to just change it. We have to go back to town meeting.
Right.
Voted by the voters, but along the line, it's just never implemented.
Yeah, let me get you better information on that.
So let us move on now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Water storage tank inspection and cleaning RFP results.
So Jim went out to RFP for cleaning of the water tank that we have to do. Is it every 5 years? We received 2 RFPs back. We are supposed to get 3, but this is a very specialized service. So I believe that 2 here show you really what the prices are looking like. And Jim has asked that we award this RFP to Aqueous Infrastructure Management to do the cleaning of our tanks.
Care to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal offered by Aqueous Infrastructure Management.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it is
It is
extremely
unanimous.
specialized. I can tell you that from personal experience.
Administrative items. Land use change tax, Burns and Stevens. We have a sheet on that.
Yep, those will be in your folder for signature.
Okay.
You don't need to discuss the administrative items.
Flip really carefully, you guys, when you're in the assessment ones. There's,
Didn't have a flag.
All right. So, here's your chance, folks. Public comments? Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
John Essler's
So-
online and he wanted to speak.
Well, I tell you
John
what, I
Essler?
think, yeah, I think
John
what would be a good thing is for me not to speak tonight. Instead, Ed, let me just talk to you about these items sometime at your convenience, and if you feel like it, I'll talk to the select board someday. How's that?
That sounds good to me.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate
You're welcome,
that.
brothers, welcome. Congratulations on your meeting.
Thank you.
motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's like, it's just going to be my first failed motion of my
Unanimous.
life.